Dr. Thissa is an expert on highway, traffic, and transportation, having 24 years of experience in the industry. After graduating from University of Modal, he obtained his master's in highway and traffic engineering in 2004 and completed the PhD in 2008. He instigated his career as a highway design engineer and progressively strengthened his area of interest in traffic engineering, where he has contributed to various large-scale projects in Sri Lanka. He is also a fellow member of the Institute of Engineers in Sri Lanka and a member of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Member of the Association of Consulting Engineers, corporate member of Sri Lanka Society of Transport and Logistics, and a corporate member of East Asia Society of Transport Studies. He has published over 40 national and international research papers and contributed to many articles and publications of national interest. He has attended international conferences in the area of transportation in Delhi, Mumbai, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Cambodia, and presented international papers. Presently, he is continuing as a principal traffic and transportation engineer and the CEO of Marsdorf Haley's Engineering Consultants Private Limited in Colombo. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Thissa on stage for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Very good evening to everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me for this distinguished podium today, because as engineers, we know that we are working together with architects always. And it's a very pleasant evening for me. And I'm very much pleased to make this presentation. Something different to architect, but it is very related today. And again, thank you very much, Nisadi, organizing for and inviting me for this presentation. And again, thank you very much, the President-elect of ISL, Institute of Engineers, for asking me to do this presentation within a very short period. So, as you can see that, I have worked actually more than 200 TIAs with architects. So a lot of architects here, and sometimes I'm lecturing in my University of Modal for urban design MScs and working with a lot of professionals in architecture sector. So as initiatives, I would say that architects are the profession that brings us the projects, and they are the people who are going to convince the client to do the work at the very first phase. So engineers are there to bring them what they want actually. Once they have done their, concept for some of these projects and some of the changes, so engineers are always basically civil engineers working together with them to support them. So we are very pleased to work with architects. So my today's topic is, it is something I want to not discuss within very short period that what is, what we are involving and what we are doing with architects, but like something in transportation, how it affects to your developments. It's like urban development, because you are always working with the development process. So whatever the architect activities, the designs make us some of the related transportation activities. So that's why I have shown in this first slide, I can show that it's some of the slogans I have put there, like starting with efficient land use. You know that land is very much limited for any of us. So if you take Colombo, it is very, very limited space. So you have to work within this period, within this space there. And again, you have to, utilize the, sorry for disturbance, yes. When you are working with travel in urban areas, people are willing to have minimum travel distances. So we have to consider on that when we are doing the development activities. Minimum time for economy, because we have to maximize our time that is that we are daily wasting for hours coming to Colombo. You can see sometimes on this any of this road sector. So we have to make use of those time for economic activities. So better health and environment, because of this transportation inefficiency, we are suffering from a lot of health cost for the government as well as individuals. So and again these days under this COVID situation and this economic crisis, and you can see that a lot of energy issues. So we are suffering from not having enough fuel, not having enough electricity, so a lot of things are there. So energy is very important, because transport sector is the highest energy consumers in any of the countries. And better society, because we have to have very good facilities, like urban amenities and everything. So those are things that we have to look in when you are talking about the transportation and urban development. So I want to make a little of this land use and the microeconomic behavior, something to bring you some little bit of little bit of knowledge about, it's a vast range, vast area that we can't, quickly within one or two slides, we can't produce this for a big knowledge sharing. But I can say that, that any of the developments, it can be a factory, it can be a, any kind of, like development in the urban area or rural area. You can see that there's a kind of a demand for travel, because when it comes with development, there are a lot of employees you have to deploy there. And with this new development of this activities, you have to have more people to come in there. Once these people comes there, like for example factory workers, you need to have some of the their families to come and stay in this surrounding area. So that will be another demand for their families to have some of the amenities like schools and the hospitals and supermarkets like that. When it comes to this level, is having this infrastructure development, supermarkets also you need some of the workers and the employees to work there. So that crowd also needs some kind of a chain facilities, that's some additional amenities like. So this will be a kind of top to bottom hierarchical requirements and needs for this people to have there. So that will always make some demand for transportation travel, because other than any of the amenities, any of the facilities you are having other than the home, your home, you need to travel. So that is what has happened. So basically, so different layers, different levels of activities, different of like transport and demand is derived. So basically we are calling this transportation is a derived demand. Why? Because transportation is not stand itself. It is not an absolute demand. It's created by developments. So when architects are doing these designs, you are estimating how many number of people are coming in and how many trips are coming in, how many vehicles are coming in, how many, what is the public transport requirement like that. So many things are interrelated. So it's a derived demand. Nobody wants to just travel for something, nothing. They have some reason to travel. So for example, people are coming to Colombo center for their employment from their residential areas, because residential is important from outer periphery of say cities like Colombo. So they are coming to city center for that purpose, and education purpose for universities, schools like that. That is happening. So that is environment is that transport environment make based on the derived demand. So you can see that in this slide. I want to just show you something like utility maximization, where any of this like travel pattern or trips are made as a requirement, as a theory of this utility maximization. What is utility maximization is that you are trying to optimize your as per the available facilities, available transport supply, available transport options, and you are the economy level, per capita income, GDP rate of a country. So you are, like deciding what is the best facility you need. Why you are here in BMSH today? Because this is the best, optimization. That is the maximization of your requirement. Because you need to have some space. You need to have some, like kind of facility to have this exhibition, and you need to have some, guest to come here, and it is a convenient place, and it is a prestigious place. A lot of things are there, and on top of that, you have your budget also. So you are selecting this one based on that. Otherwise, you have this Hambantota Convention Center again. That is not convenient for this one because it's expensive. People are, there is a lot of cost for coming there like that. So this is the best place for that. So that is how everybody thinks, and that is called utility maximization. So each and every your day-to-day transportation also apply with this theory. So you are selecting based on like utility maximization, your cost, your requirement, your destination, your facilities like that. So basically, socio-economic characteristics are demanding for the activities for you. You need to have all the activities from your society, social behavior. It's called behavioral. And other end, you are having the activities applied. That is, like shopping malls, supermarkets, offices, and everything is coming from the other side. So these two things are, is partially away from each other. Residential and the commercial. So you need to bridge this one through transportation. That's why we need transportation. So that is called transportation activity set. So demand and the supply set is also and connected with the activity set. So finally, activity-based travel is derived. So that is for understanding. This is again the land use transportation project cycle. At the top bottom cycle, you can see that when we are doing road capacity, road development improvements, there is increased accessibility. We are doing this process. You can see this Central Expressway, Southern Highway, Outer Circular Expressway, all are coming in. And once it is coming, you are creating the accessibility improved. So increased and land values. Thank you very much. Increased land value make some more usage of this land use. So land use change will happen because of this increased land value. So that will result increased trips and traffic, again increased conflict at the junctions. You can see that at the junctions a lot of conflicts are coming, and like at the links flow the capacity reached. So a lot of issues are there. So with the time, this is a cyclic effect. So deterioration of level of service of roads. So this is the end results. Then we have to think of again development of the roads. So this is a cycle. So roads are never like ending for improvement. So that is a process every day, like every year, every decades. So we have to have this continuous process. So due to this reason, so we have a lot of constraints. So we can't improve the roads. We can't widen the roads in Colombo area often because you can't have that because of the land acquisition issues. So we have to go for something different. So these are the this number 1 and 2 I have shown. A novel approach needs for demand management of traffic, because traffic is our problem. So traffic solution is a short-term solution. Basically, it's not a long-term solution. Traffic, we can have some flyovers, like signalization of junctions, like a little bit of road widening, but these are not sustainable solution for us. And transportation-based solutions, that is medium and long-term solutions, because you know that things like railways, like bus transportation, public transportation, these are the things that we are to look in Colombo as other developed countries. You can see any developed countries, you will have a lot of public transport options. But in Sri Lanka, we are always going for private transportation, private motorized transportation. And in this process, we have to look for, if you want to reduce this cyclic effect of this road development, we have to go for sustainable developments like proper urban planning, and that is the maximum utilization of this land resources. Vertical development, that's you are talking about these days. A lot of buildings are coming in at vertical, utilizing vertical high-rise buildings, but at the same time you have to keep the open space for other facilities like recreational and things, and the ventilation and so many things like a lot of greeneries. So that's the concept that we are using. That is the only way that we can manage the demand of this land use. And if you are going for this one, specifically we need this mass transportation. So in this slide, I want to show again the desirable transportation setup in an urban area. You can see this diagram at the top corner, different purpose. Sorry for the disturbance, I'm having a little bit of cough, so I want to avoid that, right? So the travel desires, the purpose, it makes demands for different, travel distances. So as per the distances, we can use of different, we can plan for different transport modes. If you are going for, train trips, you are selecting for longer trips, longer journeys. If you are going for a bus, certain at least 10 kilometers like that. If you are going by bicycle, maybe 5 to 10 kilometers. If you are going for a short distance, we are walking. So this is the most important thing when you are having this, urban developments. Urban, in the modern day, the cities, we are encouraging a lot of non-motorized and the walking, and while having the public transportation set up. So you can't see any of this private transportation I have shown there because that's not encouraged. And the land use supply generally at an equilibrium with transportation. Wherever you change the land use, your transportation setup has to be with an equilibrium because demand and the supply is changing. So selection of modes and availability, restrictions, and the cost are the issues. So plan the cities understanding the transport setup and the existing desirability. That is the important thing. And this is something that I want to show you regarding what is happening in Colombo now at the moment. This is the data based on the previous data before the COVID situation. So you can see that daily passengers crossing to CMC, Colombo Municipal Council area, something like 2 million people, and they are coming by total of nearly 600,000 vehicles a day. It's a wrong use of energy because we don't need that. Those are coming through 12 main corridors as the table shown at the bottom, and those are the main corridors, and having an average of 38 lanes, the road lanes here. So average of 14,000, nearly 15,000 vehicles a day, and it's like 1,155 vehicles, that is almost 1,200 is the capacity of a road that is in the peak hour. So lanes are already filled. But you see that with this vehicle fleet, it is something like 135 billion fuel savings if we can move this 50% of this private motorized vehicles to public transportation, and that makes something like we can construct that amount of the money we can use for building up 3 kilometers of LRT lines as per the latest estimate of this JICA LRT line. So within 5 years return period, you can utilize that for constructing this Malambi corridor. That is the first they have planned. So that is kind of estimate that I can show you what is happening, how you can utilize this one, avoiding this private motorized transport as much as possible. And this is present utilization of road space at main traffic corridors. You can see in 2018 data, this right side column here, you can see the right side graph there at the top corner, the one that you can see a circle there in a green color. Basically, 50% of passengers coming to Colombo are utilizing this bus transport using only 10% of the road space. All the other 90% is used by the private car users, carrying only 45% of the passengers. And that is basically 62% of the road space. Others are used by the trucks and all the other vehicles. So this out of this total traffic composition, 85% of the vehicles are private passenger vehicles. So you can see the difference. If you are going for 10% usage, we are carrying 50% of the passengers to Colombo. So if you can double that one, that is almost roads are only you need 20% of the road space to carry an entire number of people that is needed. So we can do that, different people desire is different. So if affordable people can afford, we can look for something like license area schemes and things, what is happening in Singapore, Malaysia. They have come to this level by enforcing those things through government. But our governments, I have not seen that coming in any kind of restriction, because they feel that is something politically they are not getting good benefits. But in long term, if any government, any political party, they can make use of this one to sustainability. They are long term winning of this heart of the people, any country. This is something I don't know. It is hidden somewhere, so it is not coming up. These are the things that very very simple things actually. We have to take off this. And the bottom graph, you can see that number of people per bus is basically unit space. That is for the unit space, something like 12. All the motorbikes, cars, and every vans like that, less than number wise 3. It is basically passenger carrying capacity of this motorized mode is something like 1.2 in each vehicle. So very low rate. And this is again the Colombo Fort area. This information is very important for you. You can see that in Colombo Fort area, all these bus stands, railway stations are split everywhere. So they are not connected together. This multimodal transport concept that is practiced by any of these development countries, those are very much practiced there by them, because to reduce inefficiency. You can see that in this picture. In this Olcott mouth, across Olcott mouth, there are nearly 240 number of people are crossing a day. As the Olcott mouth, within this 1.2 kilometer section, to cross this railway to bus transport system and bus transport to railway system like that. Basically, the main railway station you carries about 100,000 passengers a day, and Bastion Mouth again similar 100,000, and SLTB bus stand carrying about 75,000, and other bus stand is basically having about 7,000 passengers. All these are very inefficient transport system, transport node. This has been there for decades, not only few years. Now they are looking for some multimodal transport development. Still, it is to be happen. So these are the inefficiencies in urban areas. This is what you can see. The railway passenger movements. There are big, in and out the peaks there. You can see in this first graph. It is a railway passenger coming in the morning about 10,000, nearly 12,000 passengers, and in the evening also, and in between there are no passengers, less than 2,000 passengers at any time. So this is underutilization of the resources, because all the other times tracks are just not utilized. So whereas the bus transport system, it is throughout. So it is incompatibility of this usage of the public transport system. And this picture shows you some comparison between the regional countries and how Sri Lanka perform in the public transport system. If you take these low income groups, it is less than 40,000 rupees per month, the earners. They are carrying something like 64,000 public transport system. They are, utilizing this something there. And middle income, we call it like less than 80,000 rupees per month. And they are, basically selecting 57% of the bus and rail. And high income people are not utilizing very much. And the total in average is 58% of the passengers, all the users in the public transport sector, in the transport sector, like they use 58. So when you talk about this Taipei, Tokyo, Seoul, Shanghai, and Bangkok, Jakarta, Manila, and Ho Chi Minh City, all this, you can see that public transport is, the share is less than Sri Lanka. So we are still at a very good stage to go for this public transport improvement. So we have that privilege, and this is something I want to tell you what I have engaged with this a lot of architects regarding the TIA process. So as architects, you have to be very much aware of what is traffic management within development, and what is the traffic management required outside the development based on your new developments or any modification. There are things like transportation issues, traffic issues. We have to mitigate that. So a lot of this TIA process are coming at the later stage of development, like planning. So my understanding is that we have to have this, traffic engineer and the architect together at the very beginning of planning this traffic impact assessment, because they should know that, other than, UDA regulations to follow, other than, why UDA, why you are waiting for UDA to tell you that there is a need of a TIA. So you should start with, like at the very beginning, can incorporate with the traffic engineer and can have some, like parking design and standards checking. And this is very important for internal traffic circulation and the safety of the, developer and the client and their, marketability of the buildings. If it is a residential apartment, you should know that, what is people desire, because they don't want to have any kind of a risk, any unsafe situation inside the developments while they are doing the parking and, traffic circulation. So this is a very, very important thing. A lot of architects has come to me over the last 15 years asking some of the issues after notifying that after even construction of the buildings, some issues, like they can't put the car, they can't operate the car, they can't take the car in a way that they want it, without having, conflicts. So a lot of conflicts, accidents, and, it's very difficult, after doing all the structural work, structural engineering import and architecture work, everything is done, so we can't change. So a lot of issues are there. Even I found recently one of the major developers, the real estate developers, some of the large scale development, housing scheme development, after constructing some of the road section and some of the buildings, they can't put the car there. There were about 30-40 cars they had to abandon and make use of some other ways, converting that into some of the apartments like that at the end. So these are happening. So that's why this is very important. You can see that it is two folds. It is internal traffic management, parking management is very important, internal vehicle circulation and its standards. And this is not only from the UDA requirements, but developers, marketability and the operation point of view. I have been asked, many developments, even from the clients directly, to intervene this one, and they have paid me, right? That's always happening. But it's a very, very good practice for they have realized. And we have to find out, how the pedestrians are affected, trip generation, and fire vehicles, how they can come in, because those are very important in long-term process. And traffic management at outside environment, this is one of the main issues that, RDA and UD is looking for. Congestion level you have to identify, that is also affecting the marketability and the operability of the buildings, what you are going to plan. Impacts of pedestrians, impact to intersections, impacts to neighborhoods, like we need to consider this traffic calming techniques in nowadays, because people do not want to have this their amenities in unsafe situation. So this is something that inter-traffic management we have worked with one of the greatest architect in Sri Lanka now at the moment practicing. Some of the like truck movement, you need to you can see that that topmost picture, a lot of how this large scale trucks like multi-axle trucks can need how much space they need. This L width needs something like 15 meters to maneuvering of this 40-footer containers. Recent workshop development in some and child area, and it's convenient. Otherwise, if you have not planned this one at the very beginning, so you will have a lot of issues. This is actually a traffic engineer's work, so that is how traffic engineers are helping to architect at the very beginning. This was one of the very successful one, because architect asked me to do the work at the very first phase before the planning stage. So I gave these inputs, so they had a lot of comfortability at the designing of the rest of the part, and even some economization of the road network inside. So a lot of client has come to a situation that he wants to save something 300 million of the road savings, because the budget was something like that. So we had to look into that. So we make use of our knowledge and reduce that what the client wanted up to that level by doing this design. Just by doing the designs. If they have not done, not interact with the traffic engineer at the very beginning, they couldn't have done that. And again, the the easy maneuvering, that is what we discussed, and user safety, very important for pedestrians, even outside, even inside, the pedestrian safety is very important for us. And this is traffic congestion and impacts. How with the developments, what is happening with the traffic congestion, restraint to move to as you wish, because why, what is the road traffic congestion? It is the meaning is that restraint to move as you wish. You are looking for, coming to this BMI seat within say from Battaramulla within 10 minutes, but it is not happening always, because as you wish, because there are a lot of restraints, congestion levels, capacity issues, intersections, traffic signals, lot of things. And main impacts are the time cost for the user, that is called value of time, VOT, and missing schedules, activities, increase vehicle operating cost for basically trucks movements, large scale vehicles, air pollution, that is affecting to health always, because asthma and all these diseases are coming because of this air pollution, accidents always. And national economy, you have a big issue as per the congestion, that any of these developments we are economizing based on this value of time and the vehicle operating cost and the accidents and these emissions and things. So these are very important to look into. And traffic demand management is the application of strategies that policies to reduce travel demand or to reduce the demand in a space and time. So in our country, you can see that a lot of big peaks are coming in the morning and in the evening. A lot of peaks are coming, even sometimes in the mid peaks. So these are there, but most of the off-peak hours, your roads are not utilized properly, and it is like something that we have to manage. Some some kind of strategies like change in the time of the office operations and kind of land use changes. These are helping to manage this traffic demand as well. And what actually we really need when we are talking about this transportation and the land use, basically transport demand, as I mentioned, that it's a derived demand, and people travel for activity engagements and land use, and that is the interaction between the land use and the travel. And they need to have economic activities and the livable urban landscape facility and comfort movements in there. So we need basically the people to come to the city. We don't need vehicles to come, because vehicles actually just carrying the people. What we need is that if how I come to this place today is by a car, but I don't want the car to come here. I want me to come. So this is a concept that our situation in Sri Lanka is something different. In my last slide, you can see that what is like our ego level, like how people are thinking, because of not knowing why we use a car, right? What is the need? What is the, why not going for public transport? If we are having a very good public transport, we never come by this car. It's a hassle. It's a burden to us. Some people hire the value of the car. You can see that how they feel like driving. They have to go for very high insurance schemes, and they are very afraid of having even the scratch of the car like that. So a lot of thinking, and we need people to come. You can see in this economics here, 2 million tons of vehicles being into city, as I shown at the very first slide there. 2 million tons are coming. So this is something like 2 million fuel liters per day, as by my calculations. If this car is carrying something like working at 8 to 10 kilometers per liter like that. So this is the fuel cost is only 135 billion per year, right? This is the fuel cost only. So how about the operating cost? Like other repairs and tire wastage and driver cost and everything, it's like something like 4 or 5 times of this one. So there's a big cost we have incurred by people coming to say. Now, how about the parking cost? I just calculated as per the value of Colombo city limit of the space based on the land space. So it is like 40 billion a year, and again. Congestion cost we have not calculated, and the congestion cost, value of time and everything. These are all becoming like 10 billion, more than 10 billion per year. So how much of things we can do if we economically, if we are doing in a correct way, as I mentioned like that. So it is feasible to go for a modern public transportation systems by banning this private transport, but gradually. You can't stop at once today, so you have to gradually go for this one. So this is actually, now I heard that the government is going to ban single occupancy vehicles and some of the not sharing. This is concept actually that has been used by other countries, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, 30 years back. Now we are talking about this thing after they implement that one in 30 years. So this is our situation where we are at the moment. So you can see that different kind of public transport options. You can go for the BRT, bus rapid transit, and suburban railways. That is some of the projects are going on, electrification of railways, monorails, elevated rails, that is LRT systems, and underground train, which is very expensive. In the vertical column, you can see the capital cost for USD millions per kilometer of any kind of these transport systems. And horizontal axis, you can see that passengers per hour per direction. So in our situation, so these are the actually Parliament Road and other different roads. In 2035, what are the demand? It is something like 30,000 passengers per corridor, right? Each corridor. So it looks at we are at a situation that we need the elevated railways, LRT system. That's why this was discussed on last few years that what we need. Actually, if we are having enough economic strength, we can go for underground metros as well. So, but we are not economically sound for that. Having this 60, 70 million, but we can start is something like 40 to 50 million per kilometer. Go for this one, and this is actually demand asset now. And I have a few more slides. Maybe 5 minutes I can complete. Optimum utilization of urban land space. How to use this one is basically we need to do this one. We need to go for optimization of land use, because transportation land use has to be interactive. And this possible use, the vertical space, you can see that how this port city, it has been done in a way that it's a mixed development. You have residential, they are not expecting a lot of people to come from outside for employment and things. It's a self-sustained kind of development there. So it is transport. Otherwise, it is you will have a lot of issues if you are expecting people to come from Malabe, Aturugiriya, and Kottawa like that in Moratua. This is very difficult task to not having a proper infrastructure. And challenges are the transport demand and supply balance, because how to make this transport demand and supply balance is a problem. Now we are struggling with this one, having all the cars as a burden in Sri Lanka. So we have to go for high occupancy mass transport system like LRT, MRT. But MRT I don't recommend, because it's a very expensive underground railway systems. So at least going for LRT, electrification, more and more use of bus transport and air-conditioned buses at least. So we have seen that things are going in a negative manner. Even the air-conditioned buses, we enjoyed recent past, somewhere in 1990s between intercity buses, right, intercities. That is also, that has gone down. So we can't see many options we are having. So people are moving to the car because of that reason. And management of the private modes, as I mentioned that, we have to do the zoning, we have to have the area license scheme, restrictions and import tax duties, exclusion of that one, fuel prices, and we have to control this in one also, but having an option to people, not just by banning this one without having an option. This is happening now at the moment. They are asking, there are no even buses, they are asking not to come by the vehicle, private vehicle, because of the fuel crisis. So these are, we can see that it's a very funny things to hear at this moment as knowledgeable people and knowledgeable professionals like you and me. And demand for that is demand for proper urban planning. We are working this one with the architects, urban planners at the moment. Livable area, that is, we don't need all the entire space to have with the building. So we need to have some circulation areas and more open spaces, greeneries at the urban architect, mobility management with the infrastructure, pedestrians, malls, bicycle paths and everything are very important to have a sustainable city. Need more mixed development is the way out of carrying out, like that has to be given some good support from the government, duty and all. So this is one slide I have prepared based on the desires of transport experts and as well as urban planners. Proper urban planning that has to be compatible with urban architect, heritage and specific characteristics of Colombo, because we know that Colombo, some people are talking about we are making the Colombo as Singapore. It is not that we have to have in our vision. We should know that what is Colombo. Colombo is different to other capitals in the South Asian region, and we have to think of separately, and actually experts are aware of this one, but while working, we have seen that it is some visions are coming, we have to work for that vision coming from the top, sometimes which is not very much correct. And livability, compatibility and balance of high dense and low dense zones and more green concepts, as I mentioned, long-term policy changes and strict adherence to technical and not entirely political. Why I have shown here is political and the technical terms here. In the left graph, you can see that what is shown in green, that is desired project like project distribution, what are the benefits, how the benefits are and how the concerns are over the different sectors. If you take a project, social concerns are the major things that we have to follow as experts, because these projects are done for people and the living beings to enjoy. So that should be given higher priority out of this entire desires of this project implementation. And the next one should be the economics, because country has to bear the cost. So and the people has to, country mean the government mean the people, basically not the rich people in this kind of country, because you know that as I try to mention at the microeconomic situations, our taxation system is like major taxation is indirect, right? Majority of the taxation coming to the government is indirect. Indirect taxes are coming from the everybody, like majority of our country is poorest. So direct taxes are coming from the rich people, but that is a portion is very slow, very small. So that's why I'm telling that poor people are suffering by any of these project activities. And third one is technology, and we have to apply technology. We have to give the more priority to the technology as well. Then the finance, even you have seen that earlier in the few decades back, we were given the priority to the projects, even it is economically not viable, financial not viable. If it is economically viable, we are going for that one. Sometimes we bear the cost, financial cost, but we know that economically it's giving some economic gains that other sectors will bring the money, other sectors will financially come up with, and so that there is a balance. And finally, the political gain should be the minimum of if it is a country that is going to have a sustainability, because political decisions are always sometimes ad hoc in our country like that. It is not sometimes we can say it's knowledgeable, it's not knowledgeable decision. It's not very balanced decisions. Those are coming very very ad hoc manner. Because of the system, right? It is, but in a developed country, it is coming systematically. So political decisions are making a very higher. But it is a red color one. You can see that this is going the other way, right? So in the red color columns, you can see that political concerns are given something like more than 50% of the concern nowadays. So this is a disaster of a developing country. And what is shown as correct and not correct is that we have to go for decentralization of the cities. That is called mega cities, satellite cities. We have to go for having all the separate cities having all the amenities together, like residential, commercial, and like the transportation connectivity and everything separately. We don't have, we don't need everybody to come to Colombo city for their day-to-day desires and employment for business activities. They should have different places, like. So these are the things that we have to look for in our future developments, and as professionals, as top-end decision makers. And as I mentioned that we are very much praised to architects, because architects are the people who brings the these development activities. They are the people who decide what is to be done, what is required, what is the land use changes, and together with the urban planners. And in my last slide, I want to show you something very special. In the diagram shown there, this is the actually what is per capita income and GDP rate in the horizontal axis, and other one is urbanization. Like if you take Sri Lanka, it is at the very bottom, like Nepal, right? We have a lot of space compared to other countries in the region, even in the Middle East. Some of the countries like Hong Kong has gone up to 100% urbanization, right? But in Sri Lanka, we have plenty of lands still. We can urbanize, but some of these figures you can see that, but still we are having a good GDP rate, 12,000 USDs, per capita rate. So this is a very good situation. We are in a, every aspects we are in a very good situation, good potential for developing activities, having the developments. But for some unfortunate reason, the way that we are thinking, the way that we are making the decisions has always make us some of the barriers to have these development activities, up to this standstill situation. So we would have done this one 30, 40 years back if we did the correct things, because we have all the resources, we have the space, we have the technology, we have the profession, we have the people to do that. And what is shown in the cartoons, as I mentioned very beginning, how this our ego, how people feel about our vehicle. This is why all this issue has come to our, all the traffic congestion and all the issues are because of this situation. You can see this is a cartoon I prepared from using AutoCAD. Generally it is not happening, like AutoCAD is not used for preparation of the car, drawing the cartoons. But this is first one. You can see that when a gentleman is having well dressed and he is just walking on the road, if a lot of mud pothole, like if the everything is coming to, he say okay, the guy is the driver is telling sorry, that's all, right? Then the next day, if someone try like this, like if the car is drained with a mud bucket, what is happening in the situation? The driver, the gentleman inside is getting very much angry. Why? Because he's giving a big value for the car than the person. It's a value of a person has gone down to a, below a car. What is the cost of a car? It's like few millions, like 5-6 millions. But what is the value of a person? Even we estimate during their profession, some of the engineers and architects, their value of life is very high if you are making it financially estimated, based on the value of hour and number of the hours a day, and within 22 days a month, like that, how many years they are working like that. So this brings something like big values. But even that in the society, the value of a person is not done. It is extremely difficult, and it is not done, right? It is basically something infinite, we can say. So but this is the main issue in Sri Lankans we are having at the moment. So this is something people are going wrong. This is where people are going on. That is why they don't want to go by a bus. It's a big issue for them. It's a privilege of and it's a prestige of having a vehicle, and even sometimes a big vehicle driving in a very congested situation. This is the desire of our kind of people. So this has to be changed. We have to think differently. That's why I'm showing that we have to think differently. So this message has to brought to the general people, because as professionals we know this, but this has to go on. So I have never seen that in any kind of media, public media. Nowadays we know that medias are the people who change many things in the country. Decisions, they are the like controllers, according to my understanding. This is my personal feeling, right? I take the responsibility of that. So that is how country happens. So these are not bringing to the general public. If this is bringing to the general public, there will be a big savings to the country, big attitude change. So we can resolve many of these issues by attending this one. And even you see that the lot of issues in the traffic congestion is due to the user behavior. People anger and they are, wrong turnings and, like stopping and going, not respecting the others. These are the main issues. We can reduce the traffic congestion by 10-20% by just being respect to the others. So this is kind of things. And thank you very much for your time. I don't know how much time I manage. So any questions you can ask from me. So I'm here to answer to that within this anything from transport sector, traffic and highway sector, I can answer.
Can you flip through the slides?
This is the utility maximization called. This is something theoretical things, concepts, and this is how this project cycle of road sector development. It is coming, like it's a never ending. Roads are always making, continuous developments. We need to do that because of this reason, because once the roads are widened, you are asking more vehicles to come. More roads mean more vehicles. So that's why this project cycle there. And this is how this desirable transport setup in an urban area, like how this, like different modes of transport you have to use, how the people, depending on the, distance, we are selecting the different type of vehicles. This concentration is that non-motorized and walking is most important for the center. And Colombo, the main corridors like that, we have shown that how much of lane space are used there. And this shows that how much, how this public transport is utilized for in Colombo and how inefficient they are. And this slide I explained, how this Colombo fort area, like with the existing bus transport system, railway transport system, how it works like that. So number of people are running here and there just for nothing, whereas they could have a centralized bus and railway transport together, minimizing the number of, minutes taken for walking, unnecessary walking, and making traffic congestion on the Olcott Mawata, and missing a lot of schedules of the trains and buses. They could have integrated everything. It's so efficient things if so it happened. And this how this off-peak hours and peak hours, how that utilization inefficiency of railway and the bus transport system. And this is how regional, how we are performing in the public transport system in Sri Lanka compared to other part of the world, in the Asian countries and regions. So we are better than any other countries by public transport utilization. Still there, we have a good chance to further develop, further discuss these matters. And this is something TIA process, as you and me, like worked together earlier and for many projects. So how that can be, efficient for operation level of this, the transport system, and for the developer, how much brings, like value brings to this, value addition brings to these users by adopting that. Traffic congestion and impact, how that, value of time and how we are economizing, and the concept of traffic demand management like that. And this we discuss how much of money we are spending, losing daily and annually because of our present transport setup by having more and more motorized systems. And actually government situation, government is deciding, a lot of earnings from the petrol, more utilization of petrol, they are getting a lot of money financially. And importing of a lot of vehicles, they are having a big, taxation. These are the things that, these are the ad hoc political decisions, like I mentioned. And this is how, like, what are the present demand for what kind of public transport system we demand at the moment, like basically based on the corridor passenger demand, urban utilization. And this is how I have shown that what we have to do in future, and how this project cycle, projects are happening, how these projects are, taken place at the moment by, different sectors, like we have to orient for basically social requirement, but it has gone to political requirement as at now. And this is the last slide. I just made that something very special for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think we are on the same page. Architects too believe that cities should be designed around people, not around cars.
Yes.
Public transport is preferred to private. And I would like to share a presentation I have done trying to bring walkable and cycling facilities to link up entire Colombo, Vadanapura to Port City, from Port City to Kalania, and almost like a triangle along the canal network. I would like to do a joint presentation with you.
Right.
Right,
Thank you very
okay.
much. We will do.
Since we
Sure.
have been working for a long time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, right.
It's a very good,
Okay.
very good thing that I can join
Right.
with. Thank you very much.
Right,
I'm very
okay.
much privileged and very much interested to join with you for
Okay,
that.
right,
Because
thank
we are doing something for UD also these days for
Oh, right,
that kind of
okay.
concepts with
Okay.
some of the good architect and urban planners in the country at the moment. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.